Welcome, everybody. Due to our current situation, which means Mashiach is about to come, there are all these things that are happening. So I will start the shiur by saying that we're not going to have to use any of this because we're going straight to Yerushalayim, and we're going to have our entire Pesach with Carbon Pesach, which is going to be so yummy and delicious, and we're going to have it in Yerushalayim. So I'm sure everyone's saying Amen. Also, I want to do this program for Refuah Shlema for every person that needs. So we have a lot of names, and I can't necessarily go through all of them out loud, but everybody please take a moment right now to say all the names that you can think of, and even the names that we don't know right now. We're doing Torah learning, and we're taking care and preparation of our Pesach for Schmaltz, for Refuah Shlema for everybody. Okay, so I want to start by saying that I think I said this earlier, but I want to repeat this again, that just like everybody who was in Crown Heights last week, you saw that every second was like a new something, was something released that, first it was like no schools, and then no shuls, and then no mikvah, and then no, like a million different things. So just the same way, anything is possible. We were not expecting to be here in this situation right now. So too, Living Chassidus is preparing and excited for everybody who's here, and we're all mit Hashem. By the time Pesach comes, we're all going to have a Seder together. So even in our shopping, we're hopefully preparing for everybody to join us for our Seder, and we're going to have a wonderful time in Achdos, and it's going to be really beautiful. So if Chas v'Shalom it doesn't happen to be in Yerushalayim, at least we're going to have that Achdos here in Crown Heights, and anything is possible. So I'm still keeping that open, and I just want everybody to know. If Chas v'Shalom we are still in the current situation, then I want to start by talking about, I just sent out this voice note. For anyone who hasn't heard it yet, you can ask me to PM it to you. But I just sent out this voice note from Rabbi Brian of Crown Heights, of the Beis Din of Crown Heights, where he talks about how to be realistic and not go drive ourselves crazy in these times. Because for many of us, we do have our kids home, which means the pitter-patter of chametz is just like walking its way all around your house. Some of us, we may not have our kids at home, but we do have full-time work, which somehow we have to manage to do from home, and it's just a lot of stuff. And for many of us, we have never, ever, ever, ever wanted to stay in Crown Heights and clean our own apartments. So this is going to take some getting used to. So I wanted to start with the concept of cleaning. So one thing that I do is that I go from the end and I move my way back. So for example, I wish I would have brought the calendar. I think I left it outside. But if we see Pesach starts Wednesday night, so we have to step back, like start from there and move ourselves back. So Wednesday night is candle lighting and Seder, which means before that, in that morning, we have to be ready to do whatever, beer chametz and burn the chametz. We have to stop eating matzah and eating a lot of the articles that go on the Seder plate, like as part of the Seder. So we have to figure out lunch and some sort of snack that isn't, the typical things we can't have. And we have to then move back and say, okay, but our house has to be clean already by then, which means I have that day to, whether it's cook or clean or set up your Seder table or whatever. So always move backwards. For me, thank you. For me, I really appreciate when, lost my train of thought. Oh, I really appreciate taking that last day to not be stressing out and cooking. That's like, Baruch Hashem, I've had the great, I guess I'll call it schus, of hosting my family. So I'm the one that cooks and I'm the one that prepares and I'm the one that stays here, and then people fly in or whatever. And not due to work and travel conditions and whatever, they can't always come earlier to be able to like be here for the help in that sense. So I've had to really learn how to do this, and I've had several years of like smacking myself in the head and saying like, oh, I could have done this so much better. Why am I so stressing out and like running last minute? So for me, the entire Wednesday, I daven that by then I'm basically done with everything. All I have to do is make sure that all the supplies are set, that I have everything I need for the actual Seder night. You know, I've made the salt water and I've set the table. And I mean, in the past, it's been a lot easier because I did have cleaning help. So even if I was like, you know, still peeling something, I could tell the cleaning, my really sweet friend who, whatever, she should be well. And so she would set the table for me and stuff like that. So this year I have to realize I'm really on this on my own, and I have to be more prepared, which means I want to be done cooking by hopefully Tuesday night. If I have a few things left, which everything is, you know, we all get last minute surprises, so then I'll have Sunday to do it. But again, most of our Sunday is going to be spent doing the other things that need to get done. So that means that we should have finished cleaning for sure. If we're saying you should have finished cooking by Tuesday, that means we should for sure by that point have our kosher kitchen, and kosher Pesach, and we should have finished cleaning our entire house, and we should have, you know, we should have by then all the materials that we need in order to cook and clean. In order to cook and prepare. So we need to have our kosher Pesach kitchen set up with all of its utensils. We need to have all of our food bought and, you know, in our home, so we're able to just cook. And we need to have all of our peelers and our plates and our, you know, whatever pots and et cetera, et cetera. So again, moving back, that means that by Tuesday we would have had all of that, which means by Monday we should at least have that done. But again, most people, okay, I'm going to give a heads up, and this is specifically for Crown Heights. If anybody here isn't from Crown Heights, in Crown Heights, most stores, like you think right now things are closed. In Crown Heights for Pesach Chol Hamoed, most stores are closed, like closed. Empire Kosher stays open and maybe one or two others. But most people buy the entire week's worth of stuff. And we're very lucky to have Empire Kosher because halachically you're not meant to, on Pesach, you're not even meant to see chametz. Meaning like, so for example, if you don't live in Crown Heights and you have to go to, you know, I don't know what everybody has, Publix or Walmart or whatever, so you're really not meant to be walking past the chametz aisle. Or you're not meant to. If you have to and you're going to go hungry, then obviously you have to take care of yourself. But you're not really not meant to. So that's why most people in regular terms, again, we're not talking about current day coronavirus terms, but in regular terms, try and buy everything that they'll need before then. So the way I solve this problem is over the past few years, and I can show it to you, I have done a few things. Okay, for starters, being that you can't really get bored if the last time you ate this food was a year ago. So what I do is I literally have a Pesach menu that I use every single year. So I don't have to recreate. I don't have to be ingenious. I don't have to come and get clever. I really have my dips that I like. I have my soup that I like, and I have my main courses that I like. So I haven't had these in a year, so Baruch Hashem, I'm going to be so excited to eat them on the Pesach, at the Pesach Seder and Shabbos and all these different times. So again, I'm going to send out, which I think I already sent out on the group, but if you didn't get it, you can ask me for it again. But I'm going to send out, there's an incredible document where somebody compiled a bunch of recipes that are within the There you go. For everyone trying to take a screenshot, honestly, I can send you guys a picture of my menus, all of them. I'm more than happy. We'll all be eating together. We're going to be rejoicing together. So you don't even have to try and cook my menu. You'll be eating my food. So come on and join us. But in the meantime, after this class, I'm going to send a picture of all of my menus and all my shopping lists, because what I did was, okay, so rewind. Somebody made compiled an incredible list of all these recipes that hold within the standards of what some people, again, we're going to talk in a minute about chumras, schmaltz, or oil, or peeling, no peeling, all that stuff. It's going to come in a minute. But assuming that most people are keeping a certain amount of that, so within this document, there are a ton of incredibly easy, simple, some of them less simple, but again, there's so many options that you can choose something that's easy and simple and delicious. And so what I did was I picked from there what sounded easy and simple and doable for myself and my family. And I actually took those recipes and I put them, and that's what I did here, I put them as my menu. Once I had my menu, all I had to do is go through each one of the recipes and write down every single thing I needed to buy for it. So this is my shopping list that goes with this menu, right? So every single thing I needed to buy, and then I think over here I only have, I even have a few extras for the week, but this menu comes with this shopping list. And so therefore I know as long as I do this shopping list, I can follow this menu easy without even having to worry. Okay, so I'm happy to share all of this. You don't have to stress out. It's all going to be basically done for you if you like my type of food. So I did that for all of them. And then I did a compilation of where I can find each of the recipes. So I wrote page 3, page 4, so each one of the recipes from my menu, I know exactly where to look for it in what page and what book. Again, I'm going to share it all, so you're going to have everything nice and easy and simple and done. That said, have in mind that when I'm cooking, I'm usually cooking for a larger Seder, which means my family, like my immediate family that's here, my family that comes in, now they live in Florida, so my family that comes in from Florida, and and whatever guests I have, which I usually have, not many, but I've had several of you over for Pesach at some point or another, so just have in mind that I'm cooking for a larger crowd. So you also, A, you don't have to cook for such large amounts, or B, you can cook such large amounts. Most of the stuff I made is, you can't technically freeze it and then save it for the next second half of the days. So you could do that. You could just make the entire recipe, take half of it. Most of the stuff, I'm pretty sure most of the stuff here, except for salads and stuff, but most of the stuff here is freezable. So you can save it and you can use it for the next last 2 days, Mashiach Suda and the last 2 days. Okay. You see over here, I have my menu for Shvi Shel Pesach and Achron Shel Pesach. So I did the exact same thing. I also like getting creative, if you can't tell. I like coloring on them. Okay, so that basically covers, that covers most things. Okay, so again, we're going back to the cleaning. Means your kitchen has to be ready by Tuesday, Monday. For me, I would even say Sunday, because for anybody who's still working, I don't know how your working schedule is going to work this year in regards to when you technically have off for Pesach. But have in mind that many of you may not have the time right before Pesach to have the full cooking. So you may want to have your kitchen done by Sunday. Yes, some people have separation anxiety from their chametz. If they're like, oh my gosh, what am I going to eat? Have in mind that you could technically, something that we're planning on doing is leaving our hallway by the front, by the front door. That hallway is going to be where you go and you take a bag of bamba and nosh, and then you so you could have a little corner at the right by the front door, where all you have to do at the end right before Pesach is just sweep it off and be done with it, and that's where you keep your nosh and your whatever, so you don't have to freak out. I do want to give another a thought on food for Pesach. So over the years of going through trying different things and sometimes winning and sometimes not winning, I've learned that, or at least for myself, if I try and make something that I usually have when it's not Pesach, but on Pesach, I'm like fumbling with the ingredients because the actual ingredients that it needs are not available on Pesach. So 99% of the time, I'm disappointed. So for example, if I tried making a fancy ice cream, not sorbet, but I'm talking about an ice cream. If I tried making a fancy ice cream and I couldn't use all the materials or all the ingredients I generally use when I make real ice cream, so it's just not going to taste so good. And then a lot of people spend, yes, amen. I'm going to share the thoughts in a minute. So some people are just you're just not going to like what you're making because it's not going to taste like what you're expecting it to taste like. So the moment I took Pesach and I embraced it for the flavors of the food of Pesach, I suddenly wasn't disappointed about not having all the other things I couldn't have. So if I'm expecting to have, crackers and wraps, and I like fumble, I don't know exactly how, but I fumble somehow like a cracker wrap situation, then I'm going to be disappointed. And I'm going to feel like Pesach food is just like yucky and like, how can I survive a whole week eating this? That said, if I embrace Pesach food by just appreciating the fact that this is a time when you can really get the flavors out of things. Like, when do we really ever taste the flavor of pineapple and sweet potato in a kugel without all the other like extra sweeteners and baking sodas and powders and da. Very rarely. That said, Pesach is your time to really learn what different things taste like. If you have a mango, you can enjoy the mango for what it is. And just a little mango and just a little, lemon juice on a salad. And it's like, wow, this is so amazing. Meanwhile, most of the time we're like, trying to come up with these like fancy schmancy recipes, which are nice and delicious. But again, if we're expecting fancy schmancy general year recipes and don't have those things to do on Pesach, we might just get disappointed. So we have, okay. So again, cleaning means that we should be done cleaning by at least the Sunday before. For myself, I am actually, being that I don't know what's going to happen and I don't know, what kind of change is going to happen in like all the quarantines and all that stuff. So I am actually planning on having my kitchen switched way earlier, because if you guys get to come over for Pesach, I want to make sure my kitchen's ready to cook for everybody. So we're going to actually switch our kitchen much earlier. But again, for anybody who's having your kitchen ready by Sunday might just be, perfectly fine. Okay. So finishing off on the cleaning, I want to reiterate that right now is not the time for spring cleaning. I mean, I guess for some of you, you might have like, wow, I have so much free time. Like now I actually get to do all this cleaning that I've never done. But like, if that's you, because to hate and enjoy. For others that feel like they don't have the time or they're too stressed out, or how am I going to actually do this? I would never plan on, cleaning this room to such an extent. Just realize that you don't usually throw your breadcrumbs, up above your bookshelves. You don't usually some of you might, but I'm kidding. You don't throw your breadcrumbs on the chandelier. Like, it just doesn't happen. So you don't have to go crazy. This is not spring cleaning time. Hashem didn't, especially in days like today, not necessarily now is the right time for you to do your spring cleaning. Now is the right time to make sure you don't have chametz in your house. And that's it. And it means, and as Rev Brian said in the voice note, now may not be the year that you have to move your refrigerator. Like, if you're not expecting to be there, you don't have to. Something else that some people do is that if there's chametz in a place where they know they're not going to reach it, but they still feel like, oh my gosh, I have chametz over there, like, under the fridge or whatever, just take as he said, a cleaning solution, a spray, a Clorox or not Clorox, whatever cleaning, Lysol, whatever cleaning spray you use, and just spray under there. So that way whatever chametz there might be under there is also like, it's not considered chametz anymore. Okay. What I generally like to do is I do one room at a time. So the first room that gets finished is my room, because the entire year we don't eat chametz in here. You could assume that maybe once or twice I had, some leftovers, or my kids had, whatever leftover bamba or whatever on their face, and they came in my room, so fine. So what I do is I do a general wash of any, like the clothes that I use. I mean, obviously I'm washing them regularly, so I don't really go crazy about it. I wash my sheets and I change them. I sweep, I move a little bit, here and there. I mean, right now there's a whole office in here, so I don't know exactly how much moving we'll be able to do, but whatever little bit of moving, and I sweep it out. And then I just make sure that there isn't, mamish chametz, which again, my room is the place that there isn't. Once you have one clean room, then you can set up all of your stuff there. Even if your kitchen's not ready yet, you can actually just store. So usually what we do is we already have our utensils from all the past years, and we already have our like counter covers and all that stuff. So we usually set it up and just make sure, okay, do we have this? We need one new this. What I did last year, which again, this is because I've done it a few years now, is that as soon as Pesach ended, I just wrote down everything I need to buy for next year. So I actually have a whole list, which we've bought almost everything. But I have a list of the things that are, like dishwashing sponges. I'm not gonna save from year to year necessarily, because sometimes they get like gross. Or dishwashing soap that's kosher to Pesach, like, you know what I mean? I'm not gonna say that from year to year. So I made a list of all those things I need to actually buy. What you can do is, once you have your room set, or one room that's set, that's like for sure clean, you can start ordering things. I mean, Kettle and Cord, I see that they're kind of open, it seems, and also they're doing delivery. So you can get whatever you need and then store it there, so you have it even if your kitchen's not ready, as opposed to waiting till your kitchen is ready and then everybody last minute is in a rush to go buy the food processor and the peelers and the knives and the whatever. So you have that availability once you have at least one room clean. Something else to note is you don't have to clean everything. If you're planning on selling an entire closet, you don't have to clean the closet and then stick the chametz in. Like, you can just stick the chametz in and not have to worry about it. And just remember to put a sign, like lock it and put a sign that's saying like chametz doesn't belong to us or whatever. Okay. Anything in your kitchen that you usually would need. So for example, sit down and think about what are the things you like to eat. So for starters, sit down and think about the menu you want to make, because that's going to make a big difference. If you're expecting to have orange juice and you don't have a juicer, that might be an issue. I mean, it's a lot of squeezing. You'll have a lot of fun. But think about what you're planning. What is your plan? Not just for the Seder, but also what's your plan for the week? And again, you don't have to go crazy. Omelets are perfectly kosher le Pesach. You don't have to be, go nuts. A green salad is okay. Some people don't eat lettuce. We're gonna get into that in a minute, but if you do eat lettuce, so green salad is perfectly fine. Also, even just other types of salads, like, just have in mind that like you do have to eat the rest of the week, and it's not just the Pesach Seder. So think about what are the things that you generally use. A cutting board. I strongly, if you guys have ever been to my kitchen, I strongly suggest having a parv cutting board with a parv knife, because then you don't have any questions. Every single thing in my house that's a vegetable of any kind is always cut in parv. And then I'll have a question, was it here, was it there, was it which knife, was it what knife, and then was it, a sharp food or not? So having a parv cutting board and a parv knife, at least one, is huge. A few peelers is also huge. And you don't necessarily, again, a peeler doesn't have to be fleischiks or milchiks. Like, what are you peeling that's milchiks, or what are you peeling that's fleischiks? So you can just have a few parv peelers that can be used the whole time. Also keep in mind about snacking. if anybody's ever been to a Pesach program, I haven't, but my husband has worked at them before. His main thing is people just eat. When they think they can't eat on Pesach, and they're all freaking out about all the things that they can't eat, so that they're constantly like thinking about what they could be snacking. So think about snack ideas and what you're hoping to eat. So simple snacks could be, like just a peeled cucumber, or if some people get adventurous and they want to peel a tomato, or again, if this is a peeling or not peeling discussion, but again, have in mind you have all these fruits. When's the last time you just literally just opened up a kiwi by itself and just, took a bite, like took a scoop out of it? Like, think about a little out of the box about what could be things that you could snack on, and then it'll give you an idea of what you need to use. For me, the most essentials have always been to have some sort of blender food processor, because every kugel, every potato kugel, every dip basically all gets done in the same thing. And it's, for me, is something that's really important. That should be easy to wash. I don't want to have to like schlep around with the scary blades. I've already had a Pesach cutting incident, and it just wasn't fun. So I personally, what we have is we have a very simple food processor, and then we have a NutriBullet, like a Pesach. We bought like the cheapest version of it, but for us it's really helpful because not only do we make dips, we go through like the grain, like we cut off, the actual grain, we like chop it into like little pieces. We also make juices the entire week. Like, I don't have to worry about making sure that my kids eat healthy, because I know that they're having their, juice, and it's like a nice, it adds a lot. And it's a great way of, what do you dip in the dips? That's a very, very good question. Well, I dip my salad. Actually, we don't necessarily dip, but like my types of dips are not like too wet. They're more like, you take a kind of like baba ganoush, so you could technically kind of eat it on like, like with a fork. But yeah, that's a very good question. We also, something to note. Okay, so we said a parve cutting board, for sure, a parve knife. I would say at least one very good parve peeler. And you also want to have some sort of blender, and like blender. Yes, the cucumbers. There you go. Blender or food processor. I would say a food processor is like a biggie. And again, you don't have to get anything expensive. We have a very cheap one. We only use it once a year. Like, not once, but I'm saying we only use it for 1 week a year. Like, it doesn't have to be the most expensive thing on the market. We also have, okay, then comes the fire stuff, whatever goes on the fire. If you're a soup person, Pesach is the perfect time for soups. All these easy, you could make potato soup, you can make butternut squash soup, you can make chicken soup, you can make vegetable soup. Every soup under the sun, tomato soup, you could even make on Pesach. Again, you can figure out your own. We'll discuss the peeling of tomato later, but soup is a wonderful thing. So make sure, and it can be frozen. So you can make a ginormous batch of soup and eat it the entire week slowly, or even eat in the beginning of the week and then eat at the end of the week. Again, soups are a wonderful thing. So if I were you, I would for sure have a soup pot. I would also have a lot of 9x13 pans, or at least the half, I forgot the measurements, but like half of 9x13 pans, because you can make anything in there in your oven. Okay, ovens, koshering ovens, and koshering stove tops. I'm gonna share a class, a shiur by Rabbi Schusterman, where he talks about koshering an oven, and he talks about the different types of ovens. He spoke about, even if you have, I don't know if many people in Crown Heights have this, but the newest versions of self-cleaning ovens are actually not high enough temperature to kosher. The older versions of self-cleaning ovens did. So if you do have a self-cleaning oven, Baruch Hashem, enjoy it. And just make sure it's one of the newer versions that reaches like very, very high temperature, one of the older versions that reaches a very high temperature, as opposed to the newer ones that is just a lower temperature. I will share the shiur, and then everybody can take a look at, listen to it and prepare themselves. But you definitely want to get that. Something else that you may want to get is a blech, like the metal, not an electric blech. We're talking about that metal slab that goes over your stove. So I'll tell you why. One is because you may want to have warm food on Pesach, and you're able to. The other thing is because it makes it a lot easier to kosher your stove. Again, I'm not a Rav, so I'm going to share the shiur on koshering your kitchen, and I think it's like a 45-minute shiur. He's very fun, and I love listening to the shiurim, so I would definitely listen to that. But he talks about exactly how to do it, but it definitely makes it a lot easier because you're meant to, put it over the 2 burners or whatever, and then turn it on high he tells you exactly how long, and if you have any questions or you're scared of there being a fire, so then please call whichever Rav of your choice, your personal Rav. So a blech, something else to write down on your list of things to have. I would definitely say get a blech. According to the shiur, you can't really kosher your urn, like your Shabbos urn. You may not care to have hot water, or even still, you could even technically, if you have a blech, you can put a pot, whatever. So if you're really into your hot coffee in the morning on a Yom Tov or Shabbos day, so then that's something to think about. Okay, let me just continue on going through the kitchen. Okay, so we discussed about a soup pot. We discussed about a 9x13 pans, or the half of 9x13. So what I do personally, I only really buy Erev Rosh Hashanah, not Erev, but I'm saying like before Tishrei and before Pesach, and I buy a whole case of them. I'm inevitably gonna use them at some point. So maybe for some of you, you may not have a need for an entire case, but just have in mind to buy a lot, because even if you don't use them on Pesach, at least you have them, but you don't want to get stuck on Pesach without having them. So, so those are important. Something else to keep in mind, is a pan. Okay, so you're gonna want a pan for all kinds of things, from sauteing onions to frying or whatever. So you want to have, for me personally, I like having a large one and then a smaller one, because for us, for example, we have eggs for breakfast. I don't want to have to use the large one, but at the same time, if I'm cooking, sometimes we make chicken on the pan. So if I'm cooking a whole chicken, I don't want to be stuck with a little one. So I would say at least a large pan and a smaller pan. Another question to ask yourself is, what are you going to do about milchiks? Whether you do eat milchiks, you don't eat milchiks. And I guess now might be a good time to take a little in parentheses and have a discussion about minhagim and chumras. Let me just check the time. Okay. So minhagim and chumras. I am not a Rav, so I am not at liberty to speak about what you should or you shouldn't do, nor am I your mashpia, unless I am your mashpia, and then you'll call me later. But I'm not, at this point, I'm not going to speak about exactly what you should or shouldn't do, but I will discuss certain things that some people do. For starters, the general in Lubavitch, and again, I don't, please don't hold me, whatever, but the general Lubavitch is no gebrachs, which means not getting your matzah wet. So that's one of those things that I haven't heard of. People might do it, but in general, that's something that most people hold by and stick to. The other people, there is also a decision for you to think about whether you eat processed foods. and what that means. Also here shmur matzah is, again, the general here. And Mitzvah Hashem, there's going to be, I don't know how it's going to all work out, but like there is going to be matzah for everybody. So please don't worry. I actually meant to ask my husband because he's very, very good at calculating pounds of matzah per person. You're also meant to have matzah, I'm pretty sure at least once a day, like, you know, as part of like, I'm pretty sure it is. Okay, don't hold me on that. I have to double check that. But you also, wine is something that's have in mind, that's very important to have in mind for Pesach. Peeling. There's a discussion about peeling, and again, I want to rewind. Chobras and minhagim isn't a chance to like be a martyr. It's not a chance to self-torture. It's not a chance to like destroy your life because, oh my gosh, I have to be like super duper extra strict on everything. Really, it's a chance. I mean, for me personally, for me to peel something, it didn't take that long. I enjoy the fact that I'm doing something that is beautifying this mitzvah. If for you it's not beautifying the mitzvah, then maybe this is not the right chumrah or minhag or whatever we want to call it for you. Okay, so again, you have to call a rav, your personal rav, and you have to speak to your mashpia and figure out what's the right thing for you. Or if you already have it, so then great, enjoy it. Some people don't eat. Some people don't eat. Oh, garlic. Some people don't eat. I'm trying to think. Whatever. Anyway, this is not a discussion for me to have with you guys, but I just wanted you to know that these things exist and that it can be a really beautiful thing if you do want it and it makes it beautiful for you. If it doesn't make it beautiful for you, so then don't do it. Thank you. There is a discussion about oil versus schmaltz. So some people dafka use schmaltz and some people dafka don't use schmaltz. So you have to figure yourself out what's going to make you a sane human being. If it is oil, so you also want to figure out what type of oil is best for you. And personally, in our family, we don't use schmaltz and we only use oil. And you can ask me about that and the reason why we dafka don't use schmaltz, if you'd like. Another thing is about peeling and lettuce. So if somebody peels the entire Pesach, so then there's a question about whether you're peeling lettuce and how that's going to all work out. So again, speak to your mashpia or speak to your rav and try and figure out what's the right answer for you. And again, if something is not, this is not a halacha. I want to reiterate, this is not halacha. You should not destroy yourself, and you should not be meiser nefesh to go and drive yourself crazy for any of these things. If it beautifies the mitzvah for you, then beautiful and wonderful, and enjoy it. Okay, back to our kitchen prep. So you want to make sure to have the soup pot. You want to make sure to have the blech so that you can have warm food or you can kasher your stove top. You want to double check and learn about how to kasher your oven, because you're probably going to have to use that at some point. I mean, I guess you could technically not get away with, but like I said, I think some people could survive just using their stovetop. I've heard of amazing potato kugels on the stovetop, but whatever. If you want to do your oven, then that's something you want to learn how to do. Again, please be very, very careful. Also, in that shiur, it talks about how to kasher your sink and what should be done with your sink. So have in mind that your sink, you have to figure out what your sink is made up of and what your what is it called? Countertop is made up of and what you can do with it. So according to the shiur, which again, you guys will listen, please, I beg you all to listen to it. If you're using aluminum foil and you know that it's the thin type of aluminum foil and it's going to rip the moment you do the first like little nick on it, so then you're not really meant to use that. Kettle and Cord is selling those plastic cardboard looking things. So again, just take a quick measure of your countertop, and just, if I were you, I'd just order one, or if you can, do your mask and whatever at some point. So then go get yourself one, and it's really simple to use, and it's so much easier. I love it. And once you do it once, I mean, hopefully you're not going to be here. That sounds terrible. If you're not wanting to be here next year, then you don't have to be here next year. But again, it really comes in handy to just have that and just, put it down and be done with it, as opposed to like fumbling around with trying to figure out if this aluminum foil is really going to be okay, if it's not going to be okay, if it's going to rip or not. Okay, let me see if I'm missing anything. Okay, other utensils. You want to make sure to have, obviously, a spatula or whatever to mix. You want to make sure to have spoons or forks that you can actually, whisk something, let's say, or again, you could technically use plastics, but again, if you're going to have to use something, to get it out of your pot or get it out of your, anyway, so just basically sit down and think about what utensils you regularly use, and just get yourself the cheapest thing you can find of that, and be over and done with it. We spoke about, okay. If you think, he talks about it. Again, I'm gonna send this shiur, and everybody please listen to it, but he talks about putting the liners in your fridge. So have in mind to clean your fridge and put your liners in the fridge. And okay, now, assuming your kitchen is clean and koshered by, your entire house is koshered and clean before then, but let's say your kitchen is clean and koshered by Sunday. So on Sunday, make a bit of a schedule of what are the things you want to have done, and also have in mind when you go food shopping that you're also going to be eating Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. So make sure to prepare yourself by having what to eat on those days. One of the hardest things people struggle with, and I've lived through this, is that you're so focused on preparing for Pesach that you actually forget to take care of yourself on the days before Pesach. So again, have in mind what you're going to eat. Even if you're going to eat chametz, have in mind what it is and have it available, so you're not like starving and trying to like think straight, and then okay, now what, Kalim, I did that. Okay, I want to also talk about, there was a question yesterday, somebody asked the question yesterday about if we're having a Seder that's not the same, it's not with my family, or it's not the way I wanted it, or it's not on the island of wherever I was planning on going to, and it might just be me, myself, and I sitting at the table trying to sing Manishtana by myself. So how do I make this special? How do I make the Seder something memorable, something that really is powerful and beautiful, as opposed to the most depressing, I'm going to cry my eyes out experience? So I strongly suggest doing two main things. The first one is preparing yourself spiritually, psychologically, and emotionally. It means to actually come into Pesach excited about the Yom Tov that's coming. I've had it before that I'm so exhausted from Pesach cleaning, and I'm so exhausted from the cooking and all that stuff, that I reach the Pesach Seder, and I'm just exhausted, and all I want to do is just like, let's just get this thing over with, let me eat, drink my fourth cup, and go to bed. And honestly, it's a shame. It's a very sad thing to enter Pesach in that mindset. So I would lovingly suggest everybody to please take the time now. Now is the time to think about what are the things you would like to learn. What are the things, the Haggadah, for example, every year you wish you would read all the beautiful commentary. So this year, Hashem is giving you this wonderful opportunity where the world has kind of stopped and slowed down. And Hashem said, okay, come, take your priorities, take the things you really care about, and take the things that you really want to set time for, and make them a reality now. Now is the time to really figure out, should I be spending 5 hours watching YouTube videos, or should I be spending 5 hours, scrolling on all these different feeds about all the craziness that's happening in the world? Or I could just turn off my phone or put it on airplane mode and spend 5 hours learning a mimer, 5 hours listening to a beautiful shiur, 5 hours actually going through my Haggadah. Again, by this point, or by some point, hopefully soon, at least you're going to have one room in your apartment or in your house that's going to be chametz clean, chametz free, and you can take your Haggadah and you bring it out and really sit down and study it, sit down and learn it, sit down and say, and even if you don't learn the whole thing, the main point is to learn a piece that resonates with you. What are you going to live with this year? What's your Yetzias Mitzrayim? Which part of it am I really going to say, wow, that I'm living with for the rest of my life? Or that Pesach when I was in Crown Heights, wow, that was so, so powerful because of da-da-da, right? We will, and I'm hoping to do it hopefully next week or so, or maybe, I think next week. We are going to do the mock Seder. It's going to be different, obviously, but we're going to try and do the mock Seder and go through all the steps of the Pesach Seder and what they mean in our lives, and how we can really internalize how we're actually leaving Mitzrayim. A, because we're going to be in Yerushalayim with Mashiach, and we're actually leaving this galus, but also B, because we ourselves, each and every one of you, every single one of you, is leaving a certain level of your meitzar, of your limitations this year. And that doesn't change whether you're at home or whether you're in the Netherlands or wherever you're meant to be. You're still going to leave your mitzarim, your limitations this year. So have in mind to make it the most beautiful, and this is an opportunity for you to make it what you want it to be. I mean, I know that sometimes it's easier to do what somebody else tells you to do, but this is a wonderful time to really think, wow, how can I set myself up? Or what do I want to instill in my children? Whether you have those children now or you don't yet, what are the values? What do I want my children to come into Pesach unhappy and resentful? Or do I want them to appreciate that there is a certain level of them that's like, wow, I'm gonna be reaching a higher potential of myself thanks to Pesach. So I really hope, and I'm trying to figure out how I can make this, because I'm also right now, I have several hats that I put on during the day with homeschooling, and my cleaning lady is gone and all these amazing things. But I am currently learning a mimer, and I feel like it would be so beautiful if we could learn it together. So I'm trying to figure out exactly how to do it, but it would be really beautiful if we could learn a Pesach mimer together and really get all of us together with this achdus, get ourselves inspired and ready for this beautiful Pesach to come. So again, this is spiritual preparation. You want to know what's happening. You want to know what each of the steps are. You also want to know halachically how much are you meant to eat from this, and how much you're meant to eat from that. So again, I'm going to share another shiur. About the halachas of the actual Seder, so that you're prepared. Again, with Hashem, we're all going to have the Seder in Yerushalayim together, so you don't have to know these halachas, but making a keli by knowing the halachas is hopefully going to prevent us from having to actually use them. But you want to know how much matzah you're actually meant to eat, how much mar you're actually meant to eat, and all that stuff. So prepare yourself spiritually, prepare yourself for this beautiful experience coming up. Emotionally and psychologically, please, please, please take good care of yourselves now. Make sure to do physical activity, and don't come into Pesach mopey, sad, depressed, lonely. I mean, I'm an extrovert, so I'm talking to myself. I'm like, oh my gosh, I miss all my people. So I make my effort, whether I work out with my kids with their little kids workout thing, or I work out myself. I'm trying to make sure, open up windows, see some daylight if you're able to, and get yourself to a point where you're taking care of yourself psychologically, that you're coming into Pesach in a beautiful and wonderful way, and you're hopefully working on getting yourself excited about this beautiful experience, so that you're not coming in depressed and having an extra hard time. Also, now's a good time to call people and chat with them about what they're doing, and maybe swap recipes and make this a wonderful joining experience on whether it's Zoom or WhatsApp or a phone call or whatever. That way you don't feel lonely that you're the only one making Pesach. We're all in this together. I don't know if anybody here is from the women's circle, but I posted about this shiur because somebody was saying, Baruch Hashem, many of them have many kids, and they were saying, like, this is my first time making Pesach. And I said, wow, like, I didn't think to post this shiur on this group because I thought, you guys all have all the answers. And it was really beautiful how many of them said, no, you know what? This is also my first time making Pesach. So just know that you're not, just because it's in your apartment, you're not the only one doing this. We're all in this together. We're all figuring it out together. And Hashem doesn't expect perfection. Hashem just expects us to try. So we need to just try and do our best. So again, you can make this a fun experience by joining together and thinking up how can we make this Pesach coming up really fun and exciting. Another way of making it really fun and exciting is by, give me 1 second. Check the time. Okay. Another way of making really fun and exciting is, yes, there are Haggadahs with really clear instructions on each step. True. That said, I've made Pesach many, many years, so I want to also give the heads up that if you don't prepare yourself by reading the Haggadah and the instructions beforehand, or if you don't have, I forgot to mention, please, 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 everybody, buy yourself a small food scale. First of all, it's going to come in handy on Yom Kippur as well, Mitzvah Shem, when everybody's pregnant or nursing or whatever, and you have to know how much is a shiur of how much you're meant to eat if you have to eat. But also it comes in very handy because you have to have a general idea of how much more, weight-wise, and whether it's the actual, you bite into the maror, which I've done before. It's really an exciting experience. Or once it's shredded, if it still weighs the same, et cetera, et cetera. So in my opinion, I would say buy yourself a little food scale, and they're not so expensive, and it can come in very handy. But yes, so make sure to review the Haggadahs because they do have very clear instructions in there that you could use. Okay, now according to, I wouldn't say halacha per se, because I haven't reviewed it and I haven't seen it inside per se at least since last year. But from my understanding, according to halacha, is that Pesach is a time when you're meant to beautify and you're meant to really show your freedom as much as you can. So some people really save their silver and they don't use it the entire year just because they save it for Pesach. So again, I'm not expecting, nor do I personally, buy a whole case of silver, and I don't, very soon I'll have the money for that, but no. But what I do is I actually make little tiny decisions that make such a huge difference. So for starters, okay, if you can't get the kettle cord, okay, we'll discuss that in a minute. If I make little decisions that make a huge difference. So for example, there recently was a sale on Amazon, I'm pretty sure, which it's probably finished, but I'm just giving you some ideas on some fake plates that just have a beautiful little gold rim on them. Not fake plates, they're disposable plates. Or even just finding some beautiful napkins. Even if you literally just use your regular white disposable stuff. Oh, I forgot to mention, disposable, lots. I mean, okay, everybody who's environmentally friendly, cover your eyes and your ears for a minute, but Pesach is not the time to drive yourself crazy. I mean, maybe you're just the only one. If you're the only one in your house, so then fine, buy yourself a plate and a knife and a fork and a whatever, and that should be fine, actually. If you're planning on having, or you already have more than one in your, thank you, yes, and buying kosher dish soap and buying kosher sponges and a sink insert if needed, and that you can listen to the shiur and figure out what's your shitta on the sink insert. But yes, all those good things. But my point is, if you're the only one, so then fine, you can buy yourself one plate and one fork and one spoon, and that's okay, that's fine. That said, for the Seder, you want to add little things that make a very beautiful experience. So some people actually don't buy flowers on Pesach because you never know where they came from and how much chametz and da, 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 da. But if you are the type that does buy flowers, so then having flowers is a beautiful thing. Or even if you buy yourself fake, literally just my sister, a huge shout out to her. She knows that we're stuck at home. So what did she do? She bought us these cute little, she said to decorate our new office and homeschool site. So you could literally just buy little tiny fake flowers and just beautify your table. It feels so special and it feels so nice. And it makes a very small, it's a very small thing that makes a huge difference. And then afterwards you can put it around your house and it'll look nice and pretty wherever you put it. Finding some beautiful napkins, let's say, or a beautiful tablecloth, just something to beautify the experience so it doesn't just feel like yet another Shabbos meal. You're just doing a lot more steps and a lot more davening before, but you want to make it special. I also strongly encourage everybody to please buy yourself something beautiful for yourself, whether it's a little piece of jewelry or a big piece of jewelry, or buy yourself a new outfit. Make sure that you are taking the steps to make this special for yourself. You're taking the steps to feel that this is your freedom. And we may not feel so free, but again, Shal Mordechai Rabashkin talks about this a lot. I'm going to give a shout out to a few books at the end of this. But Shal Mordechai Rabashkin talks about it, that even when he wasn't quote unquote free in a place called prison, his mind and his emotions were free. He chose to put himself where he wanted to. So please do what it takes for you, whatever makes you feel special. I want to give a huge shout out to a close friend of mine, which I don't know if I should say her name, but she did my sheitel. And originally I was planning on using it for Purim. And once this whole virus situation came, I realized I'm going to save it because I don't know if I'll be able to get my sheitel done for Pesach. So I'm going to save it for Pesach. So now I have my beautiful Pesach sheitel. It's waiting there nicely for me. And for me, it makes me feel special. So again, try and figure out what is that thing or those things that make you feel very special, that make you feel like, wow, I'm so excited for this, and do yourself a favor and just get that, Okay. I want to, before questions, and I'm going to check my phone in a minute if anybody has submitted any more questions, but I want to talk about preparing certain things in advance that you're going to plan to use the whole week. So if every single time you want to put lemon juice on a salad, or you want to put lemon juice on a fish that you made, you're going to have to juice the lemon. It's going to get harder and harder, and you're going to have a hard time like being excited or feeding yourself. And I know for myself, if I only have to feed myself, I have a very, very hard time. And I end up starving just because, or noshing on little things that drive me crazy. So take a moment and think about the things that you do eat. If you like putting lemon juice on your fish, or you like putting lemon juice on your salad, or you like making lemonade. So think about what those things are and maybe try and prepare. Lemon juice lasts for a long time. Oh, almost forgot. Please buy yourself a whole bunch of those containers. The ones with the lids that are clear round with lids. You're going to need containers for a lot of stuff. You're going to need containers for your soup, and you're going to need containers for your lemon juice. You're going to need containers for some people make sugar, water. You're going to need a lot of containers. So buy yourself the bigger ones and buy yourself the medium ones. And I personally also buy the little ones, because sometimes there's a great recipe in my thing. I'm going to send it to you. But I make this really yummy like jalapeno dip. So that I like having in like a little container. Also make a list of all of the proteins, because you're going to be eating a lot of things, but have in mind that you want to have your set protein for your meals. And if you start your day off full, so for example, for some people having like a few hard-boiled eggs, let's say. Oh, how do you make sugar? Very good question. I was screaming the wrong person. You boil water and you slowly add sugar. And this is before Pesach, not on Pesach. So certain amount of things, which I think, let me see if I have a list of them. If not, the thing I'm going to share does have it. A certain amount of things can be done beforehand. So like the sugar, you boil water, you add the sugar, and there you go, equal parts sugar and water, boil and strain. I never heard of straining, I guess. Okay. And then you mix it together. Again, so orange juice if you like orange juice, lemon juice if you like lemon juice. I have the super, super, super easy mayo recipe, which it's so incredibly easy. And for that, actually, shiur, if you want to make that mayo recipe, the shiur is actually, for me at least, it works the best. So if you have, what I did is I bought this like immersion blender that turns into a okay, I forgot the word, it'll come at some point, but it's like all-in-one. I just like switch the pieces. Yes, whisk. Yes, I will try and send the link to the all-in-one thing I just said. I have to find it. So yeah, whisk, immersion blender, and it kind of becomes like a little food processor also. So if you're able to get one of those, so what I do is I do like mayo. I make the mayo beforehand, and we use it in different things, especially I have kids, so they like having, or even if you make yourself some tomato sauce or like tomato paste or whatever, now you can use that as a sauce to put on top. Or a lot of the dips that I make, for example, I also put them on top of food. So let's say I make a mushroom. That's what I do now. If I make the jalapeno dip that I use, for example, sometimes I put it if I make some fish or if I make a meat and I can put it on top. It's delicious, right? So it's like little. Think about like what you like to eat, and try and see how many of those things you can prepare beforehand that will stay in the fridge. Okay. Any questions of anybody who's here on the call right now? If not, I'm going to check my phone. Okay. Let me check. Okay, let me see if there's okay, great questions. Okay, so the standard Chabad minhag for Pesach, there is and there isn't one. The file I shared it a while ago, but I'm gonna share it again, has a bit of a discussion on all of them. So that's a good question to speak to a Rav about, because there is and there isn't. That's the true, some of them, yeah, okay. How much of which foods to buy? That's a great question. So again, if I were you, at the beginning I spoke about this, to make a list. I'm going to share my personal menu that I do for the Seder and my personal menu that I do for Shvishal Pesach. I'm also going to share the whole list of recipes. It literally took me maybe an hour and a half of just like going through it. I'm like, oh, I don't like that. Oh, I do like that. I do like that. And I just like circled or wrote down on a piece of paper because I had it on my phone. So I wrote down on a piece of paper the ones I did like. And then I organized myself around, okay, what would I want to eat for Shabbos or Motzei Shabbos or Sunday or Monday or Tuesday or Wednesday or whatever. And then I went through those recipes. Also add into it the snacking aspect. we are snackers, and breakfast. What do you usually eat for breakfast, and what can you substitute if, like, for example, you have like cereal milk? So what can you substitute instead? I also forgot to mention about nuts. I don't know how it's going to work this year, but some people only eat nuts like that they crack themselves. So if that is something you are choosing to take on, so then I would say definitely buy yourself a good nutcracker. I used to have a not good nutcracker and my hands got really, really tired. So just buy yourself a good nutcracker and then buy a lot of nuts. A lot of the recipes, I mean, a shout out to Ruta last year. She taught me this recipe of making almond butter. And it was really good. I actually drizzled it as like a dessert. I drizzled it over some peaches. Delicious, simple, and it was just very exciting. Okay, so basically once you have an idea of the things that you want, the things that you will eat, so it'll be much easier to figure out how much of it you want to buy. So if you need minced meat, you already know, okay, I'm going to need minced meat on the first night Seder. I'm going to need the minced meat on, 2 days later because I'm making the meat with sauce or whatever, etc. So make for yourself, literally sit down. I'm going to show you what I do. As you can tell, I have lots of printer paper and I make for myself menus, as you saw. Now again, I'm going to share all my menus with everybody. So I make for myself menus, and then I don't have to think. I literally just spend an hour and a half, tops 2 hours now, thinking about what it is, and I come in prepared, relaxed. Monday I pull out my menu, Tuesday I pull out my menu, Wednesday I pull out my menu, and sometimes we even have leftovers, so it's like, oh yay, extra awesomeness. Okay, next question is minimum stuff I should buy for my kitchen. I think we went through that. If I didn't, so then please let me know. How do I know if my oven can have auto cleaning? Yes, owner's manual would say, if your oven doesn't look, if you have an older oven, just like it looks kind of like mine, let's say, you can assume it doesn't have self-cleaning. It's mainly the newer version ovens, and it would have a setting on the dials or whatever that says self-clean. Like in addition to stuff you'll need for a recipe you picked out, say produce that you eat plain for snacks or whatever, or eggs. Oh, okay. So I will share with you in regards to that. Some of them got crossed out, I apologize, but I will share with you the list of what I do buy. So for example, I know how many cups of almonds and how many cups of walnuts. I know how many pounds of carrots and oranges and lemons. And again, most of the stuff will survive well if you think about where to store it properly. I know how many pineapples and apples and avocados. I personally, in my family, we buy an entire box of eggs, like a whole case of eggs, mainly because, okay, the question is where to store them. I have an Australian husband, so he is a big fan of storing them right by the window. Yeah, in other places, eggs are not kept in the fridge, so just a heads up on that. But the deal with it is that it goes into basically every recipe of a kugel, and every morning we have eggs, hard-boiled eggs, or I mean, obviously not for the Seder time, but I'm saying like eggs is something you're gonna stick in everywhere. So something to keep in mind: how much horseradish, chicken neck, all that stuff. Yeah. Salmon, full chickens, gefilte fish. Yeah, so I'm gonna share all of this, and also decide whether you have whether you're gonna eat milchiks. If you are gonna eat milchiks during this time, so then you have to think about whether you're gonna be cooking with milchiks. Are you gonna make omelets with melted cheese on them? So then you're going to have to keep in mind, okay, I'm going to need a milchig pan, and also I'm going to need to kasha the other side of the stovetop as well, so that, at least for me, one side is fleishik, one side is milchig. So just have that in mind in that sense. Also, I have a recipe, an amazing recipe for jalapeno peppers. It's really yummy, and a bag of shallots. So even things I never thought I would buy, which I don't usually buy during the year, I buy for Pesach because I have recipes for it. So again, I'm going to share my shopping list, and hopefully that'll help. Let me see if I answered everything. Okay, I think I answered everything. Okay, let me see on the chat over here, make sure I answered everything. Oh, sorry, I just clicked the wrong thing. Okay, send the link to the all-in-one. Mitzvah Shem, I'm gonna get to that. Practically cover counters, budget friendly. So for us, again, it depends on what your plans are, but for us, the most budget friendly was to buy. Yes, I am gonna share the. Oh, okay. If you just joined and so just PM me, personal message me, and I'm gonna share the shopping list and other things. 1 second, I missed that. Okay, practical ideas to cover counters, budget friendly. For us, the most budget friendly was just to buy that slab, like not slab, whatever, the plastic, corrugated plastic thing, and just do it once and be done with it. That was the easiest, most budget friendly, because we literally just have the same one every year. If you're not planning on doing that, so you have to figure out like extra thick aluminum foil, I guess. And I'm going to share the class with Rabbi Schusterman about how to make sure that like it's not going to just rip through in the middle of Pesach, because then you could get really stuck. Omelets with cheese. If you have a parv pan, you can actually do it pretty decently by putting the hot eggs on a plate and putting the cheese on immediately and folding the eggs over. Yes, that is a great idea. Good point. Okay, something to note is that Amazon started delaying non-essential deliveries. So if you're looking to order a food processor, just double check the delivery date. And if you are in Crown Heights, you might be able to get one. I mean, I would assume it's probably a little more expensive, but you might be able to get one from Kettle and Cord because they are doing delivery. And then Bed Bath & Beyond has normal delivery times. Baruch Hashem. Okay, perfect. Thank you so much for that information. The list to buy before Pesach, mostly regarding the kitchen. Okay, so the list to buy before Pesach, I don't actually have on me because I've had many years of learning it the hard way, so I never actually wrote it down. But you can listen to the recording, God willing, as soon as it goes up on YouTube. So you can check out our YouTube, Living Chassidus, on YouTube, and subscribe, and you can watch the recording because I went through all of those things. Okay, I think that, let me know any other questions, anything I didn't cover. I'm going to send at least on the group, and if you're not on the Living Chassidus group, then please personal message me. But I'm going to send out my menu. I'm also going to send out pictures. So I have to figure out exactly how to do this, because if not, I'm going to bog up everybody's phones. But I want, if anybody has any ideas how I can do this, please let me know. But I have pictures of my menus. I have pictures of each of the recipes. So if you want to literally just copy paste everything I do, so that's perfectly fine. Personal message me to that last question. Yeah. Okay, let me just double check I didn't miss anything. Okay. Something that I do is instead of driving myself, that is a great idea. Google Doc Online and share the link. Okay, perfect. Something I do just so I don't get overwhelmed by, I have to clean the entire house. I sat down a few years ago and I went through what is part of each of the rooms in my house. So for example, the white cabinet, put all the chametz inside and seal it. Although this year I think we're going to switch it. We're going to actually use it. So we're going to take out the chametz outside and then clean it. But if you really just take a moment to just think, okay, what do I really need to do in my fridge, for example? Okay, I need to make sure to eat off all the chametz I need to eat between now and then. I need to make sure to wipe it down, give it a nice clean, like empty it out, wipe it down, figure out where I'm gonna put the chametz that I'm gonna sell. So you could even just, if you're able to, just stick it in one of the drawers and sell the entire, like the drawers on the bottom, sell the entire drawer and just don't have to worry about it. Yeah. So again, just taking a moment to organize it into, okay, what does this really entail? Makes it a lot easier. For me, I have kids, so many of you, maybe I didn't post it, but what I do with them is that I get them during every bath time, except for Erev Shabbos bath. We take whatever toys we're going to be washing and I dump it in and they play with it in the bath, and they know now, I'll share a picture with Hashem later, but they know that they have to just play with it. It's time to clean it up. They rinse it and they put it in I have a bucket, like the same exact bucket where I keep my toys. I put a towel under it and they dump the toy. I tell them to take out the water, obviously, but they dump the toy into the bucket and then we dry it together, and then they're helping me in cleaning. So we could also make Pesach cleaning. They love it personally. They love bath time with their toys. And everything that's not cleanable, we just sell it. So that's that. Let me just make sure I didn't miss anything. Oh, yes, I think I said this, but I want to reiterate, you have to eat before Pesach. So make sure to have plans of what food. Don't just plan for Pesach and on, because like the days before Pesach, you still have to eat. I've spent many years starving Erev Pesach, and it's just not a good idea. Okay, I think that covers everything. Do I need to buy a Shabbos hot plate for Pesach? I discussed that earlier. The metal, I personally would suggest buying the metal one, not an electric hot plate, because you can use it, which is a beautiful thing, and because you will most probably need it to kosher your stovetop. So that is a good essential thing to have. And honestly, if you're not planning on having Pesach in your apartment, I don't know who this is. I just see your phone name. But if you're not planning on having Pesach in your apartment and you don't care to make it chametz sticks, so you can still use it at other times when you have like Shabbos in or whatever, or when you get married, then you'll have it already. Okay. Let me I think that covers everything. If not, let me just do one last check if any questions were asked. Okay, I think that covers everything. If you still have any questions after this, you can obviously personal message me, and I am more than happy to help out in whatever way I can. And I want to finish off by saying this is going to be an incredible Pesach. It may be different than we were expecting. It may be different than we were hoping, but just realize that we have the freedom to make it the best Pesach of our lives, and we are. And stay tuned. Mitzvah Hashem, next week we're going to have our mock seder, which means you get to learn every single one of the steps and how it applies in your life. Again, living Chassidus, we're living that Chassidus, which means we're going to take the Seder, we're going to remember, and I mean, anybody who's done it in the past with us, it's a good time to really prepare yourself for this incredible Seder and have something to bring to the table and share with either yourself and you have to, again, even if you're by yourself, you're technically with your Nefesh Bahamas, and it's our job to convince our Nefesh Bahamas that all this stuff is good stuff. So you're going to share it out loud to your Nefesh Bahamas and convince him or her, we're all women in this group, convince her that the Eibishter is good and Hashem is good and all is good. So, Chaim, we'll see you guys next week and see you soon.